This is a shot that I took about a week ago under the Santa Monica Pier in California. If you're not aware, if you went out, got on Interstate 10 here in San Antonio and drove west for about 26 hours, you would end up at the Santa Monica Pier. It's the end of the old Route 66, and it empties right into the Pacific Ocean. So I went down about an hour before sunset, tromped through the sand, and got underneath the pier, which was completely crowded. And I started taking pictures. I ended up, as you can see across the bottom of the screen, over 200 shots, just working on exposure and so on and waiting for the sunset. Well, this is the shot that I want to work on to show you how we can use Lightroom Classic to improve shots. What I did, let me turn on the masks. I have the mask here. I have the masks already set up, but as you can see with the line through the eyeball, I have turned them off. So I looked at this and I said, well, this is fine. The sun's exposed right, which is what I was trying to do, but the rest of it's awfully dark. Starting on the left side over here, I put in a linear gradient and asked it to as you see over here, exposure up to 3.58 stops, 3 stops exposed over what I shot it as. So if I turn it on, you'll see eventually there. You'll eventually see that it lightens up this whole area here. You can see the sun reflecting on the water and the pier posts and so on. So that was a start. Then I said, well, okay, let's do some more. Let's turn on the lower half. That's this one. If I turn it on, you'll see that it basically lit up what I was looking at with the naked eye and brought that back into the image. So we're getting pretty good there. Then I said, well, let me think about this. The ocean is a little too bright, as you can see. So I turned on a linear gradient there. We'll turn it back on over here, and you'll see that it darkened that whole area, bringing the focus forward. But at the same time, it darkened the sun, and the sun being the key element in this picture, I went in and put in this circular gradient right on the sun. If I turn it on, you'll see that it brightens up the sun, so we get an image that is actually, I thought, pretty spectacular, with the waves and the white of the waves being backlit by the sun. So let's go back over here and turn everything off again, like so. Turn off all of my masks that I put in there. We get back to the original image, shot to expose for the sun. We'll turn them back on. We'll get back to the final image. But that's the final image of Under the Boardwalk, Santa Monica Pier. I won't sing for you. Now I've got another one. I'm going to switch over to a different image that I shot that same evening of the pier itself at a little after sunset. So after shooting under the boardwalk, I went up to the area where the carnival rides are, the Ferris wheel and so on, and looked out, and there's an extension to the pier that continues out to a restaurant far out into the ocean. So I took this shot. The sun had already gone down but still had a glow in the sky, so I captured this. It's underexposed on purpose because I wanted to use another example of how we can use the masks. So I started, you can see they're all the masks are turned off. I've already done this, so this will save a little time. But I started with selecting the sky and lightening it up about stop and a half, something like that. So we start with the sky, then down here in the dark area, what we call the lower water, I turned that on and lightened up because there were lights coming off of the amusement area, lighting the water right down below the pier. So I lightened that up a bit. Then you can see also down here we've got in deep shadow we've got these buildings, and that building happens to be a restaurant, and people were all going down and back from the restaurant. So I put a brush radiant, a brush gradient. I can talk, I bet. A brush gradient at that end to lighten up the buildings, and then you can see I subtracted the sky. So if I turn on the overlay, you'll see that it actually, by subtracting the sky, cut out the building so that the exposure doesn't get up into the sky. So we just use subtract sky, and we end up with that sort of mask there. Then next I'll turn off the overlays there. Next I looked at the pier, and that's kind of dark. So what I did was I used a brush, and I clicked at one end, held down the shift key, clicked at the other end, and it gave me this area of the pier with the people on it, and so that brought them sort of into the picture as well. Then I'm going to skip over the lamps for just a second because there are 10 lamps here. I'll go up to the sky glow is what I called it, and I put some more color back into the sun, up into the clouds there to sort of put some interest in the center. I added this little bit of color down here, just slightly to bring the focus back over this side. And then let's go to the lamps, because that's the fun part. You can see there are 10 lamps, and what I did was I created the first one down here, and let's see if I can zoom in here. We will go boing, and holding down the space bar, I can move around. So here is the first of the lamps. Basically, it's just an exposure change of about 2 3/4 stops, and once you have that, what I did was over here, made the first one, duplicated that one so that it had basically the same settings, and likewise on up all the way through number 10. But they're all a subset of the lamp mask. So if I turn on the lamps, like so, say done, you can see that all of the lamps are lit. We'll go back to the long view, and it doesn't do much, but it adds just a touch. So that's the shot from on top of the boardwalk, looking down the extension to the pier, and let's see if this works. There's the one that we're looking at, and let's see, I think it's this one. Yep, that was what we started with, was a very dark image, and this one is what we came out with finally. We could go in and probably add, let's just do that. We'll go back in here and we will go to effects and vignetting, and let's go ahead and put in a little, that's the wrong way, put in a little vignette to focus the focus the sight to the center of the image. So you can see you can add a negative or a positive, and you can go really dark. But I think somewhere in here, just to shade the four corners and bring the eye into the center. All right, that's the Santa Monica Pier, except for one more thing. There's a little tip that I want to share with you, and that involves going back to a different image. Okay, back to the under the boardwalk picture. You can see here the before and the after, and remember how we did that. It was a little more simple than the pier, but this is something that I wanted to share with you. I was taking this image, the image of the sunset, relighting that, and then if we go back here, let me find what I discovered. Just a reminder that while you're taking pictures, creating images like this, you take a picture, you take it into Lightroom, you create an image. You want to remember that there might be something going on behind you. It's a thing that another photographer said, don't forget to turn around. And that's exactly what I did here with the sun streaming in this direction across the water. I turned around under the pier and saw this. This is what I saw turning around and seeing the sun streaming back up under the pier even further. So all I did with this one was go in and do a couple of things, and that is add a linear gradient from the bottom, like so. Change the exposure there to bring up the sun streaks. Then let's go ahead and open this back out again so I can label this sun streaks, not steaks, streaks. There we go. I must be hungry. Okay, so we've got that. And then up here is awfully dark, so let's create a new mask, another linear gradient up here, because as I was working on this, I discovered that you can actually see the ghosts of some of the other parts of the structure. So we can bring that up slightly, pull this down, 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 down. So we end up, maybe not so much there. Turn that back down a bit, sort of like that, because we want the focus to be on the sun streaks there. And go here. I'm going to call that timbers. And then one other thing I wanted to do, and that was sort of darken this area where the light's coming through. So I'm going to create one more mask. I'm going to do it with a brush this time. I'm going to increase the size of the brush, come over here and start brushing just through here and along this way and over to there like that. And then we'll take the exposure down there. And we'll change the temperature a bit, increase the contrast, just to sort of darken that out. So anyway, this whole exercise here was simply to say, when you're taking a picture, creating an image, be sure, I don't need to do that, I just need to do this, get out of the way. Just to reiterate, turn around. There might be something interesting going on behind you as well. So that's what I've got for this evening. That's taking a look at pictures from the Santa Monica Pier. This is Lightroom Classic, And I think we've been able to use some of the things that we've learned recently about using the gradient filters. That's it. Thanks for watching.